The fog did not need to detain him. He was in the Lord's will, and George Mueller, of course, had those kind of things happen all the time. We are the devil's worst nightmare. There is nothing. The poet said, you know, Satan himself trembles when he sees the weakest saint upon his knees. Okay? All right. So we're going to pray for one another. I've got a little something here I'm going to read to you, too. This is out of the Choice Gleanings calendar. I read it this morning, and I thought, wow, this is great. Listen to this. Andrew Bonner, born 1810, died in 1892, writer and minister in the Free Church of Scotland, once said that he could tell when a Christian was growing in proportion to his growth in grace. He would, listen to me carefully, he would elevate his master, talk less of what he himself was doing, and become smaller in his own esteem until, like the morning star, he faded away before the rising sun. In light of Bonner's words, we do well to ask ourselves if we are truly growing in grace and the knowledge of God. I don't know who could have said it better. Ross Rainey wrote that, incidentally. Think of that. I, of course, have always been my own favorite subject. That's a sad commentary, folks. Here is what we're after.
Better when you say, I pass this way, but once we should say amen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And probably, and thank the Lord for it, probably. Okay? All right. Prayer. There you are. Let's talk now about a subject that probably every one of you in here would say, well, I already believe that. What do you want to talk to us about that for? I want to talk to you about it because you need to hear some things about it that you may never have considered before. The subject is, in this case, one of the subjects we're going to deal with, falling from grace. Falling from grace. The world is full of believers out there who believe in falling from grace. The vast majority of Christendom is peopled by individuals who believe in falling from grace. We, those of us who don't believe it, are the lunatic fringe, believe me. The world is full of believers out there who believe that one way or another your salvation depends on your good works. They are also in the vast majority in Christendom. The vast majority. We are the lunatic fringe on that group too. Now let me talk to you and let me tell you, we're going to look at the book of Galatians. Old Dan's got a study going and Gary's helping him out down south on the book of Galatians. I don't know of a better book to look at on this subject of falling from grace. Everyone that I know who believe in falling from grace, one way or another, is bogged down in legalism. One way or another. They have to be. The extreme example of this is a young lady that I knew, really a neat girl. She was a believer. I have every reason to think that she was. But she believed in falling from grace. I said to her one day, what is it that you have to do to fall from grace if you're saved? How do you get unsaved? And she said, sin. And I said, okay, listen to this now. Some of you will be rightly horrified at this. How many sins do you have to commit? She looked me in the eye and said, one. Oh, me. One sin. I said to her, how do you know, young lady, that you're saved even as I'm speaking to you? The psalmist said, cleanse thou me from secret faults. Well, she said something about knowing her own heart. Oh, Please, what did the prophet Jeremiah say? The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked.
Amen.
Who can know it? Me? No. I, the Lord. See, the Lord is the one who knows the heart.
Yeah.
Humans do not know their own hearts. And if you think that, I wouldn't even go there if I were you. The more I look into myself, the more depressed I get, and the Lord's way is to get you looking away from yourself and toward Him. So here we have now this young lady believing, and here is the thing about if you believe in falling from grace, and I've talked to many people about this and asked them this, and I know that a bunch of you in here have too. What assurance do you have that you will ever be in heaven? You don't really know that you will, do you? And the honest ones will say no. They don't really believe that, I don't think, because if that's really what they believe, they are just a step away from a mental institution. Now we had, let's turn to Galatians here. While I keep talking here, we're going to look at the book of Galatians on this difficult business of falling from grace. I hope that if any of you are having problems with this, you will not be having by the time we get out of here. I hope that if any of you encounter people who believe this, that by the time we get, that if you talk to them, that you will be able to tell them some things. All of you in here probably know the name H.A. Ironside, Harry Ironside. Harry Ironside, one of the great Bible teachers of all time, ministered for many years among the so-called Plymouth Brethren. Harry Ironside began his life as a Christian in the Salvation Army. I love the Salvation Army. In many ways, I give money to them and other things. And I always like what they're doing out on the street. I've always said the Salvation Army, those preachers of theirs, are the last American poets who could sing out of doors. And some of them have been very good. But this is holiness to the extreme. And here was Ironside. Here were individuals who believed and who taught and still teach, as far as I know, on a second work of grace, wherein they are sanctified and they do not sin anymore. Now, if you think that I'm just making this up to be clever or witty or something, I am not. And Harry Ironside, whatever else you can say about him, was an honest man and was honest with himself. Friends, once again, anyone who is honest with himself or herself on this is headed for a mental institution, and Harry Ironside almost wound up in a mental institution. Hi, Jeffrey. Janelle, give him his hat. Jeffrey, I'm tired of having to bring your hats to you, but I forgive you. They killed the prophet. Look, Harry Ironside very nearly, and this is not just exalted hyperbole, very nearly wound up in a mental institution because he could not get sanctified. He was honest with himself. And every time he thought he'd been sanctified, he would wind up sinning again, proof positive that he wasn't. And worse than that were other people that he knew, friends of his, preachers with him, these men and women who claimed to be sanctified, but he knew they weren't. Because he could see them and he could see their lives. And here he was, and I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe that he did in fact check into an institution at some point. Dan, do you know?
Yeah, I did.
Did he?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Now that's what bad theology will do to you. Okay? Here we have, well, there's one of my sweethearts just came in the door, I tell you. It's Al's daughter, and my adopted daughter. But here we are. Here's Harry Ironside. he had the good fortune to have someone put in his hands George Cutting's little booklet. What is it?
Safety, security, and
Safety, Security, and Enjoyment. If you don't have that little booklet, get it. Safety, what's the?
is it
Certainty,
certainty?
certainty, joy.
Yeah. If you don't have that, talk to Dan or Al or I don't know who else here. And they will see it. Talk to Harold Ricker. They will get that to you and for you. You need to read this. Queen Victoria left an endowment when she died so that little tract could be printed because it was a great help to the Queen.